And welcome back to Bars Loaded Podcast with Ben and Nick. Our gym is in a industrial area, so in the little car park area of the shed that our gym's in, there's our building, two other office buildings at the front of the block, and then 5 other warehouses kind of in a big U shape, and the driveway comes up and around a U shape and out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And there's car parks on both sides all the way around. Half of them are numbered and half of them are unnumbered. So ever since I've been at that gym, which has been quite a while now, it's just a free-for-all. Everyone just drives into the car park, parks wherever you want. No concern for what numbers spray painted on the ground, which I'm a grown man. I feel like that's the way it should be. If I want to park somewhere, I'm just going to park there. I'm not going to not park there because someone spray painted a number on the ground.
Yeah.
So I just kind of park wherever I want. The place next door to the gym is a gun shop.
A gun shop?
Yeah, of all things, right? A gun shop. So
okay.
I went in there before I left.
So setting the scene, it's a gun shop and they're packed full of guns and ammo. They have customers come in every day. They're quite busy, and they're redneck guys with big trucks and everything. And they just park in our car parks all the time.
Yeah.
But because I'm an adult, I'm not going to go in there and be like, "Whoa, you parked in our car park." I just park in their car park and call it even.
Yeah.
So today I rocked up, parked in the closest park to the gym because I'm a powerlifter and I don't want to take extra steps if I don't have to.
Standard.
And also, in my defense, it's pissing down rain here for the last 2 days. Bro. And I'm I don't want to get wet. I don't want to mess up my hair. I spent all morning doing it. So I've gone into the gym, I'm training my sessions. This lady comes up to the roller door. So it's a pretty similar situation to Valhalla, where there's a big roller door to the outside, right? So she's sticking her head through the roller door, yelling out who owns the blue BMW. So I kind of wander up to the front, and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? Are my lights on?" Thank you, thanks for letting me know. And she's like, "No, you're parked in our car park." And I was like, "Oh, that's really odd. I've been here for 12 months now. Everyone just kind of parks wherever they want." And she's like, "Oh, no, I know that they do, but I just wanted to make you aware that the park that you're in is for Unit 5. And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm super aware. I am a grown adult. I can read the numbers on the ground. I just was under the impression that nobody cared, because I certainly don't."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I'm just letting you know that I care. And I'm from Unit 5, and that's a Unit 5 park. And I had to park in the rain today because you were in our park." I was like, "Oh, okay. So the issue is not that I'm in the park. The issue is that it's raining and you didn't want to get wet. Just out of curiosity, where's Unit 5? And she was like, "Right next door." So that's when it clicked in my head that she owns the gun shop. And I was just like, "No worries. I'll move my car. Just let me get my keys."
Fucking oath, bro.
Yeah.
Whether her name was Karen or not, you grabbed that Beamer and you just hightailed it.
He was like, "Is there any park that you particularly want me to move it to? I'll go wherever you like."
I'll take yours, and you know what? I'll even move your car once I get it washed and waxed.
Yeah. As soon as she said gun shop, I backpedaled so quick.
Bro.
Pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rightly so.
Yeah. So that was
fuck that.
Yeah, that was my afternoon. But yeah, so that's a little insight into Nick's Friday afternoon.
I try to keep forgetting you guys are an hour ahead, so it's proper afternoon over there.
It's proper afternoon, yeah. I'm home for the day now.
Lovely.
And yeah, so our guest today on Bars Loaded is an hour behind us because he's in God's country, Queensland. Brandon, is it Greco?
Yes.
Did I say your last name?
Yeah.
Nice.
What other pronunciations do you get?
I get Greco. It's mainly spelling errors. There's always 2 C's in it for some reason. There's 1 C, obviously. But Greco is the other one I get. Greco, because I'm pretty sure that's a town in Italy somewhere. And it's spelled a little bit differently, but I get that. But most people just go, oh, Greco, because the thing they like accommodate it to is Greco-Roman wrestling. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's fair enough and close enough. So we'll take that.
What is it actually?
It's Greco. It's Greco, which is fine.
Greco.
I'm sure there's probably a more Italian way to say it, but I'm like the world's worst Italian. So
my other guess was going to be Greco because of Geico. Do either of you guys know what Geico is? The insurance company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna go Greco because it's like Geico with an R.
I'm really glad you didn't. I'll stay on the podcast now.
You're welcome.
I get last name mispronunciations all the fucking time.
Like your own, or you mispronounce others?
No, as in like people mispronounce my last name.
Yeah,
all the time.
What's the most common one you get?
Machar.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with that.
Yeah,
Machar, Macca, like, yeah. There's a lot of weird
Macca.
Yeah, that's like what people call me as like a nickname.
Yeah, that sounds like a nick. That's just the classic Australian. Put an A on the end of everything.
Yeah, that was like the whole school name. It was like, Macca, what are you doing, you sick cunt?
Yeah. Combined like my 3 favorite words.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, like I get fucking people like, especially at Pro Raw. I remember the first time that they were like calling my name over like the microphone. They've like come up to me and they're like, how the fuck do you say your last name? I'm like, it's Marker. And they're like, oh, okay.
What background is that?
Scottish, if you go back like far enough.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So like on my dad's side, I'm 7th generation Australian.
Yep.
So obviously like his side of the family's been here for a very, very long time.
Yep.
But yeah, if you go back far enough, it's Scottish, somewhere along there somewhere.
Yeah, hectic. Ooh, jealous.
We've all got weird last names. I
can't even pronounce yours.
Yeah, I get on Drayson a lot. It's actually pretty easy it's just Andreessen.
What is it?
Andreessen, just all E's.
Yeah, right. So you really just got to pronounce the E's in your home.
Yeah, it's just like literally Andreessen.
Yeah, right. Because when we had our like first mentor call, I was like, nah, don't even say his last name.
Just say
you're gonna fuck it up. And then I was like, just roll with first name. Just roll with first name. It'll be smooth.
That's so the easiest way.
100%.
Andreessen was the biggest one, and then Andre the Giant. It's pretty much how it rolled forever. But yeah, welcome to Bars Loaded podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, bro.
This is going to be, in typical Bars Loaded fashion, like no doubt an absolute shit show, but that's just kind of how we thrive, and I feel like it's fitting, so why not?
100%. Throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah. But for everyone that's listening that maybe isn't familiar with you and your story, did you want to kind of give us a little bit of an intro, starting from the start of like how you found the gym, when you started training, and kind of how that bled into powerlifting.
Yeah.
And we will get into the coaching and and yourself and Epic, because that's something that I want to speak about. But let's just start at the start.
Yeah, right. So I was first introduced to the gym grade 9. I specifically remember it because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and I rolled into this like Good Life Health Clubs with a mate of mine who started going, and I was excuse me, I was your typical skinny ass white kid in school, like had probably more determination and stubbornness than I had physical talent in sports. So I wasn't really good at anything until I got like a boost of testosterone, grew a little bit bigger than everyone, and started playing rugby at high school, and then went on to play at a pretty high level. And from there, like, I guess being introduced to the gym and a sporting component of playing like first 15 rugby got me really hooked, and I started just following, your classic Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler's around that time. Picking up bodybuilding mags, opening up, seeing Ronnie Coleman do 40 sets of lat pull down. So I did 40 sets of lat pull down, wondering why I didn't look like him at the end of the session. And it just went spiral down into there. In grade 10, I remember we had to do like a week of work experience at school. So, and everyone chose, your traditional. I went to an all boys school. They chose their traditional kind of like carpentry trade, or some went into police or lawyers, whatever it was. And I was just like, fuck this, I'm gonna go hang out at a gym. So I did my work experience at this gym, and then I was like, oh my god, this personal training thing is like a job. People can do this for a job. So I was like, I'm going to be a PT when I leave school. And I remember telling my old man that, and he's like, what the fuck is that? Why the fuck? That doesn't sound like a career. You're just going to be a dead shit in the gym all day. And that's my old man, like, bless his cotton socks, was an auto electrician by trade. Like, spent 27 years under the hood of a car so I could go to school and shit. Like, that man knows how to work hard with his hands, and he built a phenomenal business doing it. So I had really good work ethic exposure from a very young age. But for him, he never wanted me to use my hands. He wanted me to get a good education and have the opportunities he didn't. Like, he dropped out in grade 10 to do his apprenticeship. So it was always go to school. I was like, fuck, I hated school. Hated school. It was probably the worst student Padgeville College has ever seen. But I went to grade 11 and 12 because I was playing rugby. So, and that was a lot of fun. Did my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness in school. So it was offered as a traineeship, or an external company, offered it as a traineeship with the Cert 3. And then I decided to pull my finger. I was like, nah, I'm going to be a teacher instead. So I wanted to go to uni because someone said I had good leadership skills and could teach people. So I ended up doing my Cert 4 in fitness to get into uni. And then things just kind of like happened from there. I had this, really shitty skill set that you get when you do your Cert 3 and 4, and fucking was at uni for 2 years studying teaching, and realized like, fuck, I hate this. And I was working at a supplement store at that time, and worked my way up to a managerial position. So I was like, nah, fuck uni. I'm just going to do that. Subs are sick. I like going to the gym. I like talking about subs. I like taking subs. Win. I get free subs. Even better.
Just like set yourself up for gains, basically.
Literally, like, all I get to do every day now is, and it was all in like this little hub. I'm not sure if you guys know Queensland too well, but like Chermside Shopping Centre, like there was the Good Life there, and then underneath was a supplement store. So I'd train early morning, go get a feed at the local cafe, and then just go to work. I lived the life of like an IFBB pro, just without the physique or the status.
Or the money.
It was sick.
Yeah.
So like rolling through that, and then I don't know, I'm a person that gets bored really quickly as well. Like, I have to be constantly doing something. My mind has to be, understanding my mind now more. Looking back, I'm like, fuck, I always had to be doing something. So worked my way up through the supplement store game. I was Queensland state manager, I think at about age 19 or 20. And then I was like, I need to do more. So I started just PTing out of the Good Life where I was training. And it wasn't my focus, so like it didn't really pick up as much as I hoped. And then I worked with this bloke who introduced me to powerlifting. And I genuinely thought it was weightlifting where you fucking snatch overhead, just having no idea. And he's like, no, come down to this gym. And obviously Valhalla now, previously named PTC, where he was doing some bit of coaching. PTC Brisbane, owned by Scott Watson back in the day. So went down there and I saw this behemoth of a fucking man pulling like 270 in a prep or something. It turns out it was Josh Tate. Just an absolute monster. These arms like legs. And I was like, this looks sick. Met Matt Stenzel for the first time that night, like the most nice dude in the game.
Yep.
And I was just kind of hooked. I was like, okay, this seems really cool. So I just started looking into strength training more, and it kind of flourished from there. I think about a year from that day, I did my first comp at the old PTC, a simple push-pull. Thought it was a novice comp. Turns out it was the fucking Tri-Nation push-pull at the end of the year they used to run. So I was like scrambling around the day before. I was like, who's got a soft suit? Like, can I borrow a soft suit? yeah, man, it just spiraled from there. Like, it just was this snowball effect that once I did my first comp, it wasn't the best comp, but then I did GPC States in 2015 the year later, and just snowballed, bro. It's probably the best way to put it.
There's so many things just in that like kind of opening dialogue that I know probably pretty much anyone that's a gym bro that's listening can draw parallels to.
Yeah.
I don't know, especially anyone that's ended up in coaching as a career can draw parallels to. Like, I remember when I was playing footy and I was kind of, labouring at the time because I had bailed on high school once I hurt my leg and couldn't play TV football games anymore. And my dad was like, what the fuck are you going to do with your life? And I was like, I'll just coach people. Like, I'll just train people in the gym. Like, I'm good at the gym. I've been training for a long time now. And he's like, that's not a fucking job. Like, you can't just hang out at the gym all day. I'm like, well, guess what?
Watch me.
Joke's on you. Now I just do it on the internet, which is even worse.
Yeah, like, sometimes I'll catch up with my old man and we'll talk about work, and, like, he's still fucking, slogging away each and every day. And I'm just, I'm like, hey, remember that time you thought I couldn't make a career out of this? Fucking joke's on you, son.
Yeah, guess what? Now I teach people to exercise and I don't even do it in person.
Yeah, now I just sit on my ass creating programs on a laptop, sometimes with a TV show in the background that I've seen a billion times just as background noise.
What's your go-to TV show?
At the moment, I'm like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Scrubs.
Yeah.
Bro, it was like my childhood. Praise my older sister for introducing it to me. It was like we just watched it as kids, and like obviously not understanding half the jokes because obviously it's adult humor. And then now I watch it back and I still fucking laugh my head off at the shit like that was allowed on TV back then.
Yeah.
It's just not the same.
It's not the same anymore.
It's like if you go back and watch like Entourage,
bro,
some of the shit they say on that, you're like, there is no fucking way that would be allowed on TV these days.
I'm surprised like Family Guy's still allowed on TV.
Well, because they bought like a new season as well for Family Guy, and you look at some of the shit they say and you're like, are you actually serious?
Dude, hectic. Absolutely hectic.
Fucking wild.
Yeah.
I just started watching Seinfeld again this week.
Gun.
After that, have you seen that reel that's going around when he was on the late night TV show recently?
I don't think I have.
So, which one? It was like, one of those late night American TV shows, and he was on there and they were interviewing him. And he was just saying, he was like, I fucking hate family vacations. I hate everything about it. And the guy's like, what do you mean you hate vacations? He's like, yeah, I hate it. I hate everything about it. I'm grumpy the whole time. And then my wife gets upset because I'm grumpy, but I'm not upset that I hate it because I knew that I was going to hate it, because the best way to describe myself is I'm a really happy man that just hates everything about everything in life.
Do you want me to play the clip?
Yeah, fucking play it for sure. It's worth a play.
I love that you got it saved.
I hate going. My wife hates going with me. The kids hate going. I still go because what is the difference of doing one more thing I don't like on top of not liking anything anyway? What do you like about a vacation? Everything. But it doesn't matter because when I do something I don't like, it doesn't bother me. That's all I'm used to. I am a very happy person, hating everything throughout my entire life. That's how I would describe myself.
Yeah.
That's mad.
So I just saw that. I just saw that and I was like, I have to watch Seinfeld again. That's just me, but like a Jewish version.
Yeah. Fucking hell. And that's an OG classic that like then it's like the new generation of powerlifters. Like they just don't understand the history of the sport, the OGs that came before it. It's like all the comedy and stuff you see now started from that dude being the GOAT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Sorry.
he's still the GOAT.
Fucking oath, bro.
So all right, that was a massive tangent, and we're gonna have a bunch of those, no doubt.
We'll go, man. I love a tangent.
if we kind of go back to you being in the gym, finding powerlifting, starting a powerlifting journey, you know, doing your first couple of meets, kind of falling in love with it from that very first time that you walked into the gym. You were working at the supplement store, which I think everyone who's, you know, ever had any sort of career in fitness has kind of found themselves working in a supplement store at some time or another very relatable thing, and started doing some PT on the side. When was the transition from doing the PTing that you were doing at the Good Life that you were training at to then kind of, I guess, making that transition to from trainer to coaching, and how did you kind of step into that that powerlifting coaching kind of role?
I think it's a great question. I know for a fact that I hated the term personal trainer. I hated being lumped in with 30 other guys in the same Good Life. One, it was, you know, coming from a place of separating yourself to be seen and things like that within the industry. I was like, fuck, I need to do something different. I need to be seen doing something different. So in a very traditional, or not traditional is probably not the right word, but in the safe model of PT, you just trade time for money, and get as many people in through the door as you can in a one-on-one fashion. I was like, well, no, I can do something better. I'd started obviously looking into powerlifting more, understanding strength training more, did my ASCA level 1, got introduced to a few really good coaches from there, Dan Baker being one of them, and introduced the more sport-specific side of coaching. And then I was like, cool, well, what happens if I start training? I love football. I still love it. I'm a massive fan of the sport. I'm always a fan first in my eyes. What if I started training just a group of guys in the gym together? And so I had these like 4 pretty, like, looking back then, going, fuck, these guys were actually pretty fucking strong. Dudes come in on I think it was a Friday night or early Friday afternoon after they finished work. Some were uni students, some were guys on a job site all day, and they just train together. We'd squat, we'd bench, or we'd deadlift. And it was the fucking best. It was the greatest atmosphere in this shitty The Good Life that we were in, like, tucked away in the corner almost because we were so different, and that's where the racks were, that people were getting after it, but people started taking notice. Because obviously, you know, when you get introduced to those newbie gains, you get pretty strong pretty quick. So, you know, I had guys squatting 180 triples with definitely not the best technique. Like, I wasn't the coach I was back then, hand on heart. But they were repping 180, no belt, no sleeves, no wraps, no nothing. Like in a commercial gym on shitty bars with bumpers. It was some of the best training and most fun coaching I've ever done. And then from there, someone took interest in me, a powerlifter, the guy, who introduced me to powerlifting, and he's opened up his own gym up here, and he's like, do you want to join? Do you want to coach? And I was like, yeah, like, why not? I'd done some, I guess, self-discovery or personal development, for lack of a better term, and started, it's like, you know what, just challenge yourself. Just go on the deep end. And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Like, half my client base didn't follow because I moved from like one side of town to the other in the middle of the city where there was no parking. It wasn't convenient. So I pretty much just started fresh. And I went back and got a job at another supplement store helping just to pay the bills. And then I was like, fuck, okay, well, I just need to make a change and just go all in on this thing. Just fucking go. So anytime I was at the sub store, I'd be working out how to funnel people in, talk about what I was doing, and just go straight into the, like, oh, look, come see me for sessions or whatever it may be. And then I also, as I said before, I competed at GPC States 2015, had a pretty decent comp, going 9 from 9, and went to my first GPC Nationals back when they were all on the Goldie, like that epic 6-day week where it started on a Tuesday, didn't end till a Sunday, and they were just fucking unreal. So I did that, and I spent like a week on the Gold Coast. And you guys know, you've been to those meets. They're fucking hectic. They're sick. There's like, you compete, you get drunk, you party, you do everything. And it was just like unreal. I was like, this is the goatest thing I've ever done. I was also like heavily juiced up at the time, stupidly, thinking I was like the best thing ever to walk into powerlifting. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to use this confidence. And then people started asking me to fucking coach it. They're like, hey, I want to do this meet. I'm like, can you coach me? I'm like, and I just faked it. I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Had no clue, really. Just kind of reiterated whatever my coach did for me at that time to them. And then I had really good success again later that year in competing, and it just kind of propelled from there. The next year at GPC States, I was the first time I had lifters whilst also trying to compete. And again, that snowball effect. 2016 was a big year. I was in, it got to a point where me and the person who did own the gym at the time were clashing. I was in like a really bad spot, both mentally, like in my personal life and then business. So like nearly threw it all away. But then again, same thing. I was like, this has to fucking change. Like, one, I'm depressed as fuck. I'm broke as fuck. My partner at the time was paying our rent. And I was like, I cannot keep doing this. Like, what the fuck? I'm either going to have to go back to my old man and be like, oh, cunt, you were right. Or I'll be like, no, sack up here, put your hog on the table and just fucking, what else you got to lose? Like, I had a fucking thing. The only thing I had to my name at that time was an '04 Ford Falcon Ute, my first car ever. And that was like breaking down. I remember driving that thing to a work of a morning in winter. It had no hot air conditioning. So I'd just be freezing my dick off. Couldn't get the fucking demister working at like 5 a.m. for sessions. So I just remember going, why the fuck am I doing this?
The good thing about Queensland is you don't have to have pink slips every year, though.
Yeah.
Like, you could just drive that car forever until it literally just stopped on the side of the road and leave it there, buy a new one.
Pretty much did that, bro.
That's what you do in Queensland. That's the Queensland way.
Yeah, like it was. I drove that thing for another 2 years after that.
Yeah.
So 04, I sold it to some guy who owned a big property. He was using it as a bush basher. So I bought it in 2010 for 11 grand. And so it was what? 7 years old then. Sold in 2018. It had oh man, it was fucked. But God bless, it was the best thing ever.
Do you guys have to get roadworthies in Melbourne, Ben?
We have to get a roadworthy, like, if you buy a car, like, it has to be roadworthy.
Yeah.
But once it's roadworthy, you just pay your rego each year and it's fine.
Oh, you don't have to do checks either.
But if you sell it,
we have to do roadworthies every year as part of our rego, unless it's a brand new car.
Yeah.
So once it's 5 years old, that's it every year.
Yeah. So if I sell it to someone, it generally has to come with a roadworthy.
Yes.
So like if I was to sell it privately, they would be going, well, it needs to have a roadworthy certificate.
Yeah.
But if I aren't selling it, which the reality is, if I'm going to sell my car, it'll be trade-in when I buy a new car. I don't need to worry about it then.
Yeah, nah. So I just sold mine privately to some guy who wanted to use it as a bush bash. He gave me $500 for it, and off he went.
Fuck yeah!
I was so surprised when I moved to Queensland. I was like, "How are these cars driving on the road? They're falling apart." And my mate that I was playing footy with at the time, he was like, "Yeah, dude, like we don't have to do roadworthies here." Like,
no.
Yeah, once a car's 5 years old here, you have a roadworthy every year as part of your rego.
Look, I'm not going to say that's smart and what we do is wrong, but it does seem a little smart.
It makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, and like maybe we could adopt that and make it a safer place.
From a safety perspective, probably smart, but from a convenience perspective,
we're not letting that shit spread.
Yeah.
We're all about convenience here, bros.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I love it. Continue on.
I fucking don't even remember. Oh, yeah, it's like by 2016, I had a bit of a name for myself, but it wasn't anything crash, and I was like, just go in on it. Just pray to the universe that you'll get clients and you'll be successful in this, and it turns out it didn't just happen for me. Obviously, you guys run your own PT business, you run your own coaching businesses. it takes effort and it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of, for lack of a better term, it takes a lot of grinding. And so I just did. I was like, I'm not going to compete for the next however long. I don't think my last comp was in 2016. I don't think I competed again until like 2018. And I just focused on being at every meet I could possibly be at, no matter the federation, training hard so I could be seen doing things in the sport, and coaching. I really didn't know how to work Instagram or Facebook back then, so I trickled out this content over time, and then throughout this whole process, I was battling mental health issues, which put a handbrake on me really putting myself out there to the coaching community. And it probably wasn't really until 2021 where I tore my Achilles, trying to make a comeback to football, the greatest sport on earth, rugby league, and it just did not happen.
Mm.
And it wasn't until then I really had a hard look at myself in the mirror. Like, that was my rock bottom. That was my like split from who I was to the coach I am now, the man I am now. And that's where things just started to happen. And it was just all the little things that I had planted over the years of the coaching come to fruition. People really started looking to me as not just someone in the industry as like another coach, but as someone who could mentor people. I remember the first time someone's like, hey, can you like help educate me or upskill me or something? And I was like, me? The fuck are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, you're doing great things. I'm like, are you blind? Like, what? And I look back now and go, yeah, like I was doing pretty good things, but I think I just had really good people around me as well. Like, someone I'm forever grateful to is Luke Poley. He helped put Epic on the map. Like, he was my first real big client. So, and he achieved great things. We achieved great things working together. Like, he was going to retire when I first met him, and I was like, nah, bro, I can help you. Like, I'll sponsor you, get you back, onto some of the biggest stages. And I think the next year he came second at Pro Raw 9. Yeah, Pro Raw 9. And, like, it exploded. And then it just snowballed. And now I'm here.
It's always an interesting question to ask coaches because I know they don't tend to play favorites or whatever. But is there a performance or a client that kind of stands out as obviously I know you've mentioned like Luke was pretty pivotal in terms of like getting Epic on the scene. Is there a client, a performance, a specific lift that you sit there and you're like, fuck, that is one I always look back on really, really fondly, or one that like you're most proud of as a coach?
I think the Pro Raw 9 really stands out for me. That was my second time to a Pro Raw event. I went the year before to Pro Raw 8, the first one at the Arnold's, just to help out Nate Davison, a good lifter back in the day. And then Pro Raw 9, I helped Luke and Carrie Ann Boyce, and they represented Epic on that platform, and both had phenomenal days. That, for me, that comp, that exposure, meeting, it was the second time I'd met people like the Lily Bridges, was the second time I'd met Gwayne Johnston, Jordan Shallow, becoming friends with these blokes, Chad Wesley Smith, being able to rub shoulders, talk to them, but also for them to remember me. I remember like after Big Dogs won the year before, and then seeing Eric again at the Pro Raw 9, and again, this is me being a fan of the sport first. Like, he came up to me, he's like, hey man, how you going? How's Luke? And he's like as if we're old friends, and he like remembered, and I was just like, this guy remembers me? He's just some fucking loser from a shed in Queensland? Like, what the fuck? And that Pro Raw 9 weekend, after that, it was like, cool, Epic's here, and we're going to stay. And then after that, I was lucky enough to work with some phenomenal people. Casey Pawson, freak of an athlete that came, I think, second the next year at Wildcats. Lily Riley, and like we all know her story and her fucking incredible, stupid achievements that just seem to just catapult on top of each other. Like I've been very blessed with being exposed to some very good people, and meeting Jordan Shallow at Pro Roll 9 was one of the best experiences, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first students through his pre-script course. Sorry, someone just dropped a whole bunch of plates in our gym, and I was like, I wonder if I should check on that. And I was like, oh, that's going to be someone else's problem. I'm not actually working today, so...
Definitely someone else's problem.
Yeah, 100%. We got cameras. There's emergency things. I'm sure if they got hurt, they would yell.
Look, in all honesty, if they couldn't complete the lift, do they really deserve help? I don't know.
100%. It's like if I get crumbled under a lift, the only expectation I have is that someone else comes along and puts another 225s on each side, so I look a little bit more badass.
Look, it's natural selection.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm happy to put my hand up. I'm not that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But being exposed to Shallow and his mind and his way of thinking was just like, I mean, we all know him. You guys had him on the show recently. Like that cunt is just fucked.
Well, I mean,
like what he's done in the industry, what he's created, and just his mind. And what I loved the most is his ability to go so deep in on a topic about the body, about strength training, but then still be able to have a chat like a gym. Look, there's a little thumbs up there from my fucking thing. Again, didn't even know you could do that. So, and being in that first cohort of pre-script exposed me to a lot of other coaches in the industry. Built my network. Yeah, man, like it just was that exposure from Pro Roll 9 to answer the original question of, is there a specific lifter or something that stands out? It's that Pro Roll 9 that I 100% can say will always forever be ingrained in my head, because not only did it put Epic on the map, Luke Poley did some incredible shit that day. Like, he had no right to pull 340 to come second. The old cunt fucking hadn't come close to that weight in years, but somehow second spot was up for grabs and he pulled it out of his ass.
It's pretty amazing what can happen on the pro, like especially when Pro Roll was at the Arnolds, but even before it was at the Arnolds, like what some people could do when it came to like final deadlifts to pull for placing.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck me, it was wild. There
is not much of a I've been to some of the best sporting. I've been to every big dog that's happened. Mm-hmm. I've been to State of Origin finals. For people who don't know what State of Origin is, please fucking look that up and don't talk to me unless you do.
Yeah, turn off the podcast right now.
Yeah, 100%, because you're not my people. But I've been to fucking Origin finals, deciders, and grand finals. But playing the game on third attempt deadlifts it could be a fucking local comp, gets my dick so hard, it's incredible. Pro Roll just recently, I'll give a shout out to my client Aisha in sleeve division. We were coming fourth the whole day, and I was like, no, we'll be here at the end. She's like, nah, like Laura Fox smoked for first place. She's a freak. And I was like, no, we'll be right. She's like, nah, I don't think I can. I'm like, you've got this. Best pull ever, 165. I was like, no, this is a natty chick going into a comp where shit, you can do whatever. I'm like, I'm going to put 172 on. We're aiming for third place. Next person misses theirs. We get 172. She pulls that out of her ass and gets into second place. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's a great lifter.
She is a phenomenal lifter. And I just think, this was our first real prep together. I'm like, right, fuck, we're just getting started.
Funny story. Shout out Aisha if you listen.
She will be listening, because I'll then tell her that I mentioned her. And like, you better listen to this because it's the only nice thing I'll ever say about you.
Yeah, and I was lying too.
Yeah. No, actually, she knows I wasn't lying because she got off the platform, started crying, and I was like, "Oh my god, that nearly made me cry." But then she called her mum, and I don't know why, but as soon as she told me that she called her mum to tell her the good news, I just started crying. I'm in PTC HQ at the back, and like she's just come over and be like, "Oh, yeah, I should call my mum," and I'm just bawling my eyes, going, "That's so beautiful." Fuck. I was like, "Fuck." Should have taken that Arimidex.
I was at her. I was coaching at her last comp that she did before she signed up with you.
Yep.
And it didn't go as well as what she had hoped.
Yep.
And I don't know exactly what was happening, but there was some drama with her previous coach and how that all played out. And she was at the comp alone and was not peaked and wasn't, prepped as well as what she could have been, I guess, and didn't go as well as what she had hoped. And then I was talking to her in the following days after that. And a funny story, I actually offered to sponsor her and coach her for this year because I was like, she's a fantastic lifter and this would be a great person to have on the roster. And she was like, oh, that's really nice. We've actually just kind of hired a coach, and I asked who it was, and she said you, and I was like, oh, hats off, you're going to do fantastic. Great decision.
Oh, thank you. She came out well already. Telling me about all that drama, and I'm just like, if someone pays you money weekly and they put their trust in you to get them to a specific goal, just do the right thing and show up.
Yeah, how wild is it to just not turn up?
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but like, what do you guys think of like coaches charging a fee to be like handle their client on the day, like a separate fee?
I generally will have that, like if I'm handling a client who isn't mine. So, for example, there was a comp I think 2 weeks ago where I had a client of a friend message me. They're like, "Hey, can you handle me on the day?" I'm like, well, I'm not going to be at that comp anyway. Like, if you want me to come in and handle you specifically, like, I will charge a fee for that if you're not my client.
Yeah, that's fair.
If they are my client, absolutely not. Like, I'm like, I coach you, like, I'm going to be there on the day.
I don't know what triggered this.
There's only 2 comps I've ever missed, and I hate the fact that there are comps I've missed, but I'm like, sometimes, like, shit just happens.
It's always within reason.
Yeah.
Always within, like, if you're an online coach, like I have clients in America, it's like, they understand I can't be there. Yeah. But I'm going to be 100% on my phone going, fuck, what's this attempt? Like watching a live stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a client do APL meet at Lift 3 on the same day that we had another client down at Pro Raw who was a nutrition client of our company. And we had planned to go down to Pro Raw for the weekend and make it a weekend away for us as well. And then, my client's comp fell on that same weekend. So, Em just had to fly down there on her own, and I went to the comp up here because it's like, I feel like that's part of our job, man. Like, it's literally our job.
Also, if you want to, like, I will never charge. Like, I've had people at Pro Raw, not my client, they're like, hey, do you mind handling me on the day? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be there anyway with my own clients. And, like, I got no one. It's not going to affect my team. So, yeah, sure, why not? But also, if you want to, like, charge your clients a fee, just build it into their weekly cost you fuck with. Like, don't be that guy. I fucking hate that because you're being paid great money to coach them. That also encompasses the day. Yes, I understand time is money and all that bullshit, but me just fucking showing up and doing my job is always going to give me more exposure, and that's going to be always way more fucking rewarding, beneficial, and come back to me in monetary value if that's what you fucking give a fuck about. I don't know how I got onto that rant, but it popped into my head, and I felt like this was a safe place to get it off my chest.
It's always a safe place.
This is a safe place, mate. To be honest, I find comp day as a massive privilege for me personally to be able to be there. It's like, I look at coaching, the coaching part of it, the prep, the programming, if you do your technique sessions, do your video calls, all of that kind of stuff is my job that I get paid to do.
Mm-hmm.
Me being able to have the privilege to be there for you on comp day while you're doing your thing that you've worked so hard towards, to watch you reap the reward for that, that's a privilege for me. Like, I feel honored that I get to be there and do that. I don't feel like it's your privilege to have me there. Like, I want to be there for you as my client. Like, I actually feel very like they're doing me a favor by having me there.
100%. Like, I'm gonna be so much more fulfilled watching you do something you never thought possible than me doing it myself. Like, fuck, I've competed, I've placed at comps, I've won comps, all that shit. Man,
or getting $100 for it.
Yeah, like seeing Aisha pull that for second place, like gun.
Yeah,
always gonna fulfill me more.
Like,
the
if
thing
I was,
sorry, go on.
If I said to my client, "Oh, sorry, it's my handling fee's $120 for the day," and they're like, "That's okay, I'll just get someone else to handle me," I'll be like, "Oh, but I really still want to come. Can I still come and watch?"
Yeah. Fuck. Anyways,
my favorite thing is when like clients will like they'll have the comp on like say Saturday, and it'll be on the Thursday, and they're like, "Yeah, so like I'll get there at like 8:00. Like, do you just want me to let you know how like I go throughout the day?"
bro.
I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Oh, like I didn't know if you were gonna come or not." I'm like, "I coach you. Like, of course I'm gonna be there." I had a client of mine compete at like team championships a couple of weeks ago, and they're meant to have like their team coach, which I wasn't their team coach. So I coached her independently, and then she was just part of another team. And on the day, the plan was pretty much like, I'll rock up, I'll observe from the seat, and then I'll kind of like let her know after each attempt, like, "Hey, this is what I want for your next attempt," and I'll kind of like unofficially coach, but from the outside. And the morning of, she was like, "I'm really nervous. Like, I really wish you could come backstage." I'm like, "Ask them. Like, if they'll let me come back, like, fucking oath, like, let's go." And thankfully, the guy who owned the gym knows me, and he's like, "Yeah, man, like, let him come back. That's fine." And then I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Because I love comp day handling.
There's no better thing.
It's the best fucking fun ever.
Like, I've been at it's funny because I remember going, like, obviously back when PA, I don't even know if PA still exists, but
it does.
It does. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So I had a lift to competing PA. Obviously, I was GPC affiliated or whatever, and wasn't allowed out the back. And my client's like, "Oh, like, you're obviously not going to be there." I'm like, "I'm just going to sit in the crowd and watch and just text you what attempts to go." Like,
so I
sat in the crowd and just did my job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that. I think some coaches, because our job isn't, sometimes it's physically laboring, but it's not physically taxing, right? So we get stimulated mentally, and obviously it's very exhausting in that sense. So a lot of people look at our job as like relatively easy. It's like, nah. But comp day is where I give a lot of myself to the people in front of me. Like, there's comps where I've been more anxious than them. I remember last year, States weekend up here for us, GPC, was just huge. Like, I was back to back. I don't even know how many lifters I had.
That was the States I was at. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, because Sam Harrison pulled that 300 kilo deadlift that no one had.
That was so sick.
Bro. That is, okay, you talk about another favorite lift of mine. I've cried every time I watch that deadlift because it is the most incredible thing I have ever seen. Not the fact that he's pulled 300. Like, pretty much any cunt now can pull 300. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that when he's like, "What's your next attempt?" I can say that because I haven't pulled 300. But
I'm the only one here that has.
Righto, this guy.
Yeah.
I remember Sam, he's like, he pulled 285 as a second attempt. He's like, "What
and
next?" I'm like,
he just looked straight over.
And I was like, 292, bro. And he's like, "Nah, 3." I'm like,
I think he was still on the platform when he did it, right? He was like,
yeah, he's like, I'm gunning for this. And I'm like, nah, you've overshot that. And to his fucking credit, he's one person that I know, like, he's a coach himself, so he can really auto-regulate. If he says he's got it, I was like, all right, I'll back you. That cunt fucking did it, and oh
I
my
think
god,
it was to the gram. I don't think there
Bro.
was another gram in that deadlift.
dude! If a fucking fly landed on that, it was going the other way.
That was such an epic moment. If you watch the video back, you can see Will and I in the background.
Yeah,
Just like look at each other and we're like, oh, that was fucking sick.
it was just insane because like you don't see people grinding out a sumo like that. Like you conventional, you fall out of position. You're like, yeah, I can muscle this up. I might blow a disc, but I'll get it up. Whereas
Worth it.
sumo, you're like, you got to be so technically proficient. Man just grinded it, but then I'd like made an edit of it and put it to that Celine Dion song, bro. Watch that, I'll start crying.
You send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, bro.
Sick.
What made it even better was that because that was his home gym, the whole crowd reaction, the lifters on the side of the platform, just it was such a sick moment.
Yeah,
probably one of my favorite comp moments of all time, and I don't even know the dude.
bro,
It was
he's great.
fucking incredible.
The reason that crowd was so vocal that day, so Sam Harrison is the head of strength and power at Queensland Reds Rugby Union. So all his footy boys came down, and these are guys who like some play Wallabies, and they're in the fucking crowd of the local powerlifting meet. Just rugby boys going off. It was the sickest environment we've ever probably had in this gym. It was so loud and vocal. And you hear him in the background, bro. It's just hectic.
Because they were doing that for every single one of his lifts.
Yeah.
And Will literally turned to me at one point and was like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I don't know if it's like a joke or something, but every single lift that he does, it's like there's people just fucking screaming off their heads like it's like he's just won the world championship in his opening bench.
Yeah. It literally was like, it was the best. And he had the best comp ever. He put like 1 billion kilos on it. Obviously not 1 billion, but a heap of kilos on his total. I think he came second that day or even third. Like it was just a hectic day. And that's another lift that sticks with me forever. And like, he's my best mate, was one of my groomsmen at my wedding. Like, so good to see him just do that. It was just very special.
So I want to go back to, we talk about Pro Roll 9 and, getting Luke and convincing him that he's not old enough to retire yet. And although he might be old, he still has a little bit of fight left in him, and taking him through Pro Roll 9, a great performance, kind of that putting Epic on the map. And then it was pretty much full steam ahead from there. And then, if I think about the interactions that I've seen firsthand of you coaching on comp day at that GBC Queensland States, and just how many lifters you were handling. And, I look at the Epic Awards the last 2 years in particular have just been, huge events, and something that both Em and I speak about. We spoke about specifically at the start of this year as something that we look towards building Enzi into something similar. And a lot of our business plans and things that we have in the works at the moment are driving us towards being able to do something like that for our athletes as well, because, obviously that's just such a fantastic event you've been able to grow over the last couple of years. But Epic itself becoming the beast of a coaching service that it is now, from what it started as, obviously throughout that time, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. And I'd really like to ask you to highlight some of maybe the challenges that you've come across from a business perspective that, as a meathead that just wanted to coach people and spend as much time in the gym as possible, you probably weren't expecting to come across. And like, how has that helped shape what Epic is today?
Well, firstly, I'm glad I put these like lights on so it washes out my face, because I was blushing after all those nice things you said. Appreciate that. Look, man, anyone who decides to undertake a personal endeavor knows nothing is smooth sailing. Nothing just happens, and there's problems that will arise left, right, and center, and shit they will not prepare you for in a fucking Cert 3 and 4 room or an ASCA level 1, because unfortunately you're running a business. And I don't know about you guys. I had no idea how to run a business. I had, from fucking tax, let alone to how to keep track of all that shit, to how to keep track of just my clients coming in through the door. From like a business perspective, the managerial, the admin side of things, I was a useless prick at, and I still am. And that's why I learned very quick. You just pay people to do that. And I'll just focus on the things that I'm good at, which was coaching and talking to people. But the biggest challenges I faced was myself. My own, I guess, the personal battles I faced with my own mental health through childhood trauma and adolescent trauma held me back more than I could ever probably describe in a business sense. Because, in this industry, you are your business. You're a walking billboard for it. And I just was not a confident or self-believed person. As much as I tried to hide that from people and not show that side, that was the biggest challenge, was overcoming myself and stop the self-sabotaging that came along with the success that I was getting. Every time I stepped through, it'd be this new like imposter syndrome level, or for lack of a better term, I think we just lost Nick.
Sorry, we'll keep going without him.
Yeah, we'll keep, and then, it's just that, that imposter syndrome, or it would have been the just self-fulfilling doubt that crippled myself through that whole time. It's like, you don't deserve this success. And it probably wasn't until, around that Pro Raw 9 year, 2017, I met my future wife at that point, where like my first real relationship that I was like, fuck me, this is the girl I'm going to marry. I need to get my shit together. And, she was very supportive of my mental health struggles and got me in CS Psych. 2018, I was on medication for it, and like I'm still on meds, and it definitely got worse before it got better, and over a long period of time. As I said, that 2021, my partner and I had actually taken time away from each other. She moved back up north just because I was so self-destructive, and it wasn't her battle to fight, it was on me. And then I tore my Achilles, which was the best thing for me, because I was completely incapacitated. I couldn't walk, actually. I was living with my mum and dad at the time. I was like, wait, how old am I now? I'm 31. So I was a 29-year-old cunt, back living at home. The business was hemorrhaging money because we set it up from an accounting perspective. We had set it up poorly when I took on 2 coaches, and me being completely unaware, I was just trusting the advice of others around me. So I remember it specifically, and I actually took a screenshot. I torn my Achilles a Tuesday night. This is at training. It was wet. It was runny. I didn't have anyone. I had to call my dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, can you come pick me up from training? I've just fucked myself and take me to hospital." So mum and dad come down, because mum came and drove my car back. My dad takes me to hospital. I'm like, the pain hits me by the time I get to hospital that I've just blown my Achilles. They give me the shot of morphine, so the pain immediately like ease. I don't know if you guys have had like morphine in the drip. Bro, that shit hits so quick. I understand why people become addicts. It's like, what the fuck? But I immediately just go like limp on my old man, and I look at him, and I just remember saying to him like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I here? Bawl my eyes out, and I like obviously spend the night in hospital. No partner, living at my parents' house. I'm negative $600 in my business account, going, how am I going to pay rent at the gym next week? I have 2 coaches under me now that are counting on me to market, keep this business running and open for their livelihood. And now I can't use my body. Now I can't drive my car to go and do my job. And that whole, like, I took a screenshot of my account that night because I just specifically remember, like, I will never be in this much debt or this broke again. Like, I was like, I'm just not going to do it. I refuse. It's like, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. This is this is what I've been dealt. Whatever hormones and painkillers were running through me gave me some self-confidence that I was like, I can get through this. So I got out of hospital the next day and I went straight to work. I'm on crutches in a fucking cast because only one hospital up in Brisbane in the public system carries moon boots. So I'm hobbling into the gym and I'm like, I'm just going to work. And my clients come in, they're like, why are you here? I'm like, because I had to wrap her knees. I was like, if I can't do this, I'm probably going to kill myself because I don't have anything in my life that will keep me here. So I went to work and I just was like, I can wrap knees, I can load plates, and I'm hobbling around, falling over. But I just made it work. And that was the biggest lesson in business and the reason that why Epic's still here. And the reason why I keep showing up is just because I have clients in my life that I know not depend, that's the wrong word to use, but they require me to do a job. And I said I would do that job. And I think I owe it to the people who put their faith in me to show up and be the best version of myself. And then, from that point, I was seeing my psych once a week, sometimes twice a week, dealing with these issues, reconnected with my partner. And obviously we're married now and planning, a very beautiful life together. My business is flourishing, and it all came from the lessons I've learned of my own personal development. I think that is what Epic stands to be. It's like, when I created Epic, I had this cool slogan. I thought it was cool, and it was like, be your own hero, because I was really big on just finding people's strength and inspiring strength in others. So that's what it became, and that's what I try to do every day. It's like, because I know for the gym, it got me through some tough times, and I'm not saying it's the cure for mental health, but it will fucking help you find your own strength. And if that keeps one person from ending up on an obituary page because they took their own life, and I'm fucking done my job. And some of the success stories out of it, I get so many people messaging me going, I don't think you realize how much you helped me beyond a barbell. I've had people come in here who with the worst self-confidence ever, who can't even talk to another human being, but they're sharing a monolift with 4 other blokes. They're forced to interact, and next minute they have lifelong friends. That's the coolest thing in the world, and that means more to me than anything. So more than any PR. So yeah, the lessons I learned, the why Epic is the juggernaut it is because I just chose to face trauma. I chose to, unfortunately, go do the work that was really shit and hard and left me exhausted and crying and emotionally spent. Being forced to show myself self-compassion when I did my Achilles because I couldn't move the way I wanted to was the best lesson in the world I could ever give myself. So I just try and instill that in the people around me, and hopefully Epic continues to do that now that we are a bit more of a force in the industry. I have no idea if that answers your question.
I think it answered it beautifully. There are a lot of parts of that story that are brand new to me. So, thank you so much for sharing. I know you had obviously mentioned your dad a couple of times being, obviously a pretty important person. He's instilled some really good habits into you. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oof. We asked this question on our own podcast, and I'm very grateful that my answer hasn't changed. So it would be my grandfather, my nonno. He was he was the goat human. He was the best thing that ever happened to me. Me and my old man had a rough relationship, but me and his father were just I don't know. His story inspired me. He came to Australia, from Italy, searching for a better life for him and his family. Knew no English. He was a stubborn old Italian cunt that just did not want to learn another language, so he just went to work, slaved away on a farm, fucking worked for the Brisbane City Council, lost the ability to use one of his arms in an accident, and still raised 3 kids and gave them the opportunities he didn't have. He's someone that I wish I had more time with, and I would love to have dinner with him again. Nick mentioned our awards night, like our team member award is in memory of him. It goes to the member of our community who is the most selfless, and who supports the team, because that's just the person he was.
That's
Beautiful
awesome.
answer, man.
Who won that this year?
Oh, Rob Thompson. I was like, had a full mental blank then. I was like, who the fuck did that? Rob Thompson. So shout out to him. He is, if you watch anybody who lifts at Valhalla Strength in a competition, you can guarantee he'll be on one of the sides spotting and lifting and loading at competitions.
Nice.
He is he's an older gentleman and has like just those old school values. Like we call him, the king, because he's just such a father figure to everyone, the greatest human on the planet. So he took that award home, and man, I was like, could not be prouder. And like, I love that. I again appreciate your words, Nick, but like that Epic Awards is the best night of the year.
Yeah.
And I didn't think when I first did it, I really didn't think it was going to be anything like. Did not see the juggernaut that it was going to become. Like, we hired out a fucking... Actually, this is a funny story, though. The first time we did it, we went to this, like, all-you-can-eat Brazilian barbecue, some fancy place on the river at an Eagle Street Pier. And mind you, it said all-you-can-eat. They were not prepared for, like, 45 powerlifters to walk into a room. They cut us off, the fuckers.
Oh, yeah, of course. They probably had no food left.
Bro, I was fuming. I was like, no, this is all-you-can-eat. And that big cunt, like pointing at Paulie or something, is like, he's still hungry. But, like, we started in this little function room of that space. And this year we had 120 people get dressed up in a big function space in the valley for a sit-down meal. And, like, it is the best night of the year. And I didn't, like, it's stressful because I'm not an event planner, but thankfully my beautiful wife is. But it's something that just means so much to our community as a night to get dressed up and, out of the monotony that is powerlifting in the gym and just enjoy the community. Like, fuck. I get people messaging me in September going, "Wait, what day's Epic Night? I've got to make sure I get a babysitter. I've got to make sure we're not doing anything. Like, I need to know ASAP." And I'm like, what?
Yeah, and from the outside in, it's so nice to see, obviously... you're from a footy background as well. Ben's from a basketball background. I'm from a footy background. We've all been involved in team sports, and we know how fucking awesome it is to just be around the boys and be around the team and have that camaraderie. And I feel like that's kind of lost a little bit in powerlifting, especially these days. Old school powerlifting, when I started in 2011, was very crew-based still. I feel like it's moved a lot more to much more of an individual pursuit these days, especially with the rise of online coaching, where even your coach now is most probably remote from where you are. It's very much an individual sport, and to see you build a team around Epic and have team members fly in from all over the place for this awards night and just be around the team, I think is a really cool thing to see within powerlifting.
It's astonishing. I can't believe that people fly. Like, I have clients in America who, that was their first year with me, and they saw what we did the Epic Awards night. Like, we're coming next year. I'm like, from America? Like, what the fuck? It's just,
it's cool.
It's incredible, and I'm very grateful.
People crave that connection, and once you
100%.
feel that keeps people in team sports. And I feel like there's a lot of powerlifters that maybe found lifting or athletics or the gym later in life and didn't get that exposure to the team environment. And when they get exposed to it in an environment like that, they're like, "Oh, this is cool. I want more of this."
I think the big driver behind it for me as well is, like, I love powerlifting. I think it could be one of the biggest sports on the planet. It has the ability to be so professional and beautiful, but it started underground mainly with bikies. It didn't have a good stigma to it, and that's not going to help promote the sport in a good light, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I don't get me wrong, I love that underground feel to it all and all that, but if we want to keep the sport growing, it's got to evolve. And, you know, I look at the biggest sports in the country, rugby league, AFL, like the rugby league have the Dally M Awards, the AFL have the Brownlows, yet there's no real award for this sport. So I was like, nah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And it's the best night, bro.
Yeah, it's really cool. All right, so to finish up, there's this kind of segment that we like to run where
mad.
each guest gets to ask the next guest a question.
Fuck.
You don't get to know who the previous guest was. You only get to answer the question, but you get the opportunity to ask the next guest a question. So you kind of get a taste at both ends of the sword, I guess. Yeah. So the question that our previous guest asked you, it's a very thought-provoking question. It's actually probably my favorite question that we've had so far, so lucky you, is if you could go back in time and be an influential individual like a Martin Luther King or something along those lines, who would you be and why?
Oh wow, that's a really good question. If I could go back in time, that was the
so like if you could go back in time and choose any like kind of influential person throughout history that you think that you would want to become?
You know what? I don't know if I could answer that to the best capabilities because I don't have the experience that those people had of those days. Like I've never really sat in their shoes and could really understand the trials and tribulations they were affronted with in that point of time. But I do have I believe, you know, make it a little bit closer to home, I guess, or take that question and add to it or whatever you want to call it. I would probably go back in time and I would love to walk the shoes of like my grandfather. Because I think he may not have changed history, but he definitely changed my history and my father's history and influenced a lot of people around him. And just to walk in those shoes, I think would be really cool. So for me personally, like I owe a lot of who I am now to him. And I would just love to understand him more. So I think the answer to that question would be my grandfather.
I think that's a beautiful answer because he's influential
100%
to you.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Now I've got to think of a question?
You got to think of a question now, bro. It can be whatever you like.
Ooh. Okay.
Just for context as well, like we've had some thought-provoking questions like that one. We've also had questions like, do you wear a squat plug and what color is it?
Yeah, 100%. See, like now my brain's ticking over going, what do I want to ask? Okay. I think it will be in 10 years' time, if you're on the path you are now, will you look back and be proud of what you've done?
Oh, nice.
I like that one.
I think it's just because it's something I ask myself every single day. And helps really guide some decisions I make.
Cool.
We're good.
I love that, man. I think there was a bunch of really cool stuff here in the last hour and little bit that...
Thank you so much for having me.
I feel like I know you a little bit better. I feel like our listeners will definitely know you a little bit better. Where can they find you if they want to learn a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, man, look, I'm pretty much an open book about a lot of my experiences now. Best place to find me would be on Instagram at Brandon_epic coaching. All the links there to whether it be articles I write, our podcast, my own podcast, or just to get in contact with me. Like I'll chat about anything.
You got your coaching links in there as well if anyone's interested in getting coaching.
Links are there. If they want to check out more of our coaching services, they can jump on Instagram and go at epic_coaching. that has like that's more of our coaching page, and then obviously my own page being the Brandon_epic. So whichever one, like I manage both, so I'll reach out, contact you, and yeah, thank you so much again.
Go from there. No worries, man. Thanks heaps for joining us. I've really have enjoyed the last hour and a half.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. It's been an absolute blast. So I can't thank you enough. And really, what you guys are doing with this potty is sick. And man, I hopefully haven't bored your listeners too much.
If the listeners are bored from what you said, they can fuck off.
Yeah,
That's a win.
Yeah, this is our podcast. We write our own rules.
Yeah,
that's it.
I love that.
Perfect.
All right, lads. You enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
You too, mate.
Thanks.